All right, welcome back for the episode of Carnivore Trades. Today is Friday, November 17th, 2023. If you haven't already, please give the video a thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com for swing trading alerts, analysis, and live day trading. On the 19th, last chance to get $60 off your first month of the new live day trading room. It's been awesome so far in the first 2 weeks, so take advantage of that. Anyways, let's get into it here today. So markets basically just kind of floating higher. We did get some news just now on Microsoft. And looks like Sam, I don't know how to say his name, Altman leaves OpenAI. So somebody called the Gamma Boys up and placed an order right before the close. Take a look at where the spiders are, right? So they didn't want to get in that far away from 450. It's options X, right? This type of stuff happens. And by the way, that news actually broke a little while ago, and it looks like the market makers used that to kind of de-risk here. They were getting forced to buy here. Somebody was trying to unpin us to the upside, and I think they said no to that. So again, Opex pin here, but Microsoft is the excuse. Big picture though, spiders or SPX, again, pin right to that 45.10 area. We talked about that this morning. And it looks like we're going to print a doji for the day. Markets close in 15 minutes. What's the analysis here? So markets, you have a big surge on Tuesday, 1, 2, 3 consolidation. I would say, generally speaking, this is not enough consolidation to go higher. Just because we're so overbought. Again, I'm going to show you this one more time just in case you're new. But this is a very simple technique, and you're going to see that we're still very extended on the chart here. Now, if it consolidates enough, again, it could work that off and go higher. But I'm going to make a case here. So I'm going to make a case for it to go higher. So I know I've been calling for a pullback, but so have a lot of people. And that's what we call the pain trade, right? So everybody kind of waiting for a pullback, looking for a pullback. Even the bulls right now are like, okay, this is a lot here. And that's kind of the pain trade. I think there's a good chance we get to 45.50. And I'll make that case out right now. So we can see our trend lines here. That pivot, I called that out earlier this week. We went there and we stalled out. So we're just consolidating right in that area. Nothing really out of the ordinary there. Then you've got 45.40 pivot high, just above that 45.50 even number. Gamma boys love that number, so be aware of that. It also coincides with the gap window, right? So there it is, 45.50 spot 9.3. Then there's a gap fill above at 45, about 45.75. There's another trend line here, and I'm just gonna do this so it's a little easier to see, less of an eyesore. Normally, if you guys know how I do things, I wouldn't place much. I've seen this trend line on various charts, other places. Normally, I wouldn't like it because you have 18 months in between this hit, and now 4 months, right? There's no symmetry. So that's not something that I generally place much weight on. However, given the fact that it's lining up with that gap fill, a 45.50 call wall, and or it's a gap window, and a 45.50 call wall, and 10 points away from this pivot high, I'm going to say it's going to be major resistance, and they might want to go up and test that early next week. At that point, I think the markets would be way off sides. So I think that it's not a secret, this market's overbought. But I think if you got up there without pulling back, this would be way off sides. And we'd actually see some type of a retrace here. Maybe to 4,400, maybe to 43.50. Why do I say that besides what I just said? Well, we're going to look at it later, but 103.50 on the dollar index is still major support, even with the 2-day consolidation here. So we haven't done, now if we did 6-7 days of consolidation, then I'd say, well, you probably go down to 103. But we've only done 2, and we're starting to inch lower already. Dollar is still inching down right now, even as the market is selling off a little bit. There's your 200-day pivot highs, and just to add to that, you're going to see a 50% fib right at 103.48. So that's going to be good support there for the DXY. I don't know about you, that looks about equidistant to me, to dollar, as the SPX looks to 45.50 from here. Additionally, we'll talk about yields in a minute as well. We'll look at the 10-year. What have I been telling you guys about the level there? 4.35, 4.3. We're almost there, got there today. It's not that far away. If we got there Monday, you're into that pivot high 100 moving average, probably we give the 10-year a bounce, which would mean the markets would likely come back in. 30-year, not that far away from 4.45, right? 100 moving average, previous high. So if we get into these levels here, I think that's a bounce for yields and could pull the market in. Additionally, strangely enough, or perhaps not, there's a bond auction next week, and it's not T-bills, it's 10s and 20s. That will not be able to come out of reverse repo. We've had some auctions over the last couple of days. Hasn't mounted to a hill of beans because they just suck it out of reverse repo. So it's going to have to come out of the market. So that is a possibility. That doesn't guarantee anything, but you line up all those factors, especially if we just float up there on Monday, I'd definitely favor some type of reaction there. Now, the bull case is almost exactly what I just laid out, right? Everybody's looking for a pullback, so the pain trade, right? That's the bull case right now. Because damn sure that like the bull case, you can't make a technical bull case because you already run 10% in the last, 15, 16 trading days. The triple Qs are up 12% in the last 15 trading days. NVIDIA has added an AMD and an Intel in the last 3 weeks. By the way, they have earnings. That's the wild card for next week. They'll probably have a really good quarter. Will the market reflect that? Is everybody who already wanted to get in gotten in? Is it a sell the news like it was last time? Certainly possible. Again, the stock is priced for perfection. So, but that's kind of the case that I'm looking at into next week. There's the triple Qs. We never got through that double top. And again, I think we could probably, never got through that double top this week. High of the week here was 387.75. Previous double top was 387.98. So maybe we inch up to 390. There's a pivot all the way back in Jan, 390.20. Red sell bar right there. So could be room for another little pop there. So something to watch there. But I'm going off the spider since that has the best and most clearest levels on the chart right now. Diamond here, flat on the day, nothing terrible, but again, went into that weekly level, right? This is a bull flag. It broke down on that candle. We retraced and we sold off, and retraced again and you sold off. And that led to that whole decline. That's where the sellers are sitting, and you're seeing us pull back off of that. And that was, leave it at that for now. If we take out this pivot, then it's back down to gap fill. Russell 2000. Again, beautiful hit. I just love that hit from Wednesday, but getting a nice bid. This is all over the map. Look, gap, gap, gap. Another gap here today. Hell, even a gap down yesterday. I don't have a read on this. I need to see it do some more kind of flagging here. And if it does that, I can go up here and retest this area. Again, if the market corrects, this might come back down. Again, there's a big fat air pocket right here. But again, big picture though, the Russell has improved on the weekly. Here's the negative. You have not reclaimed those moving averages. So you can make a case you just back tested this and then pulled back. I know it's a nice, good looking green candle, big outside move, but we didn't really do anything on a technical basis outside of close back above this trend line on volume technically. But, you get back above this area, then we can definitely talk about really repairing that chart, and then we can go out about other levels there. But, Russell up 1.3 today. Again, we'll leave it there. Semiconductors, new all-time high, new all-time closing high. Again, looking at the stocks, that's not the case. But it did close above this pivot here. We'll see. There is some resistance with this red bar. I'd say right around 3,800 is going to be a good level, good next level to watch. On the SOX, IGV, new closing high. That can go to 380 and then ultimately 395. I do not think it goes there in a straight line. Where am I getting 380 from? All those pivots right there. It's not that far away. It could coincide with 4550 on the SPX. Next level is 395. Dow Transports, again, just like the Russell, perfect kiss. I love that level. Little gap up today, back above the 200. So we're going to close the week above the 200. That's a positive. There's still a lot of chop in here that needs to be worked through and eaten through. But again, nothing terrible, and that pattern needs to mature there, but it looks okay right now. 2-year yield. So sitting at 4.9, you can make a case you got a bearish inside bar there. If that goes lower, it's going to go down to 4.61. 5-year, it's hanging on to that that 100 moving average there. If that goes lower, it's down to 4.2, and then 4.1. The 10-year and the 30, again, I don't think have as far down to go. So the long end looks a little bit better here technically than the short end right now, which seems strange, right? Because we're hearing data that PPI and CPI are coming down, should be the other way around. But all we do is look at the charts. That tells you the story. Don't get confused by the data. Anyways, XHB. Big green bar inside 1, 2, 3 pullback. If it pushes up, it's $84. There's the resistance up there. A lot of it on the daily and weekly, but right now it's hanging in there. If you take this candle out, it's back to 77.50 to 78. VNQ flagging here, needs to do a little bit more of it, and it can go up to 81.50. A lot of resistance right there. If it takes this candle out, it's going back down here. XLF above my level. So again, we talked about 34.50, and that's to its credit. Big move, big squeeze here for the banks. Pivot high, much like the Dow, right? Bull flag, inside bar, failure, retrace. That's where your resistance is. So coming into it very closely here, but it's strong and it's showing strength. That's what happens when you squeeze. So that's, we'll give it the benefit of the doubt, but that's really the next level I'd watch. It's basically there now. KRE still struggling with that 200. Again, I still think that needs to consolidate more. But that looks, it's definitely repaired a little bit there. KBE up 1.5. We'll give that upside bias to the gap fill. Broker dealers above 490. Again, 500. You get above that, then you can go to 510. You get above 510, it's up to complete that measured move. All the way up at a new all-time high. Crude, so the old dip and flip, right? So they spiked the low and then they ripped it back up 4% on the day. I could have held my day trade from yesterday, but it was worth too much risk. So, but in any case, we're back above that 75 handle on a weekly close, and not for nothing, that weekly candle is not terrible. So I think that has some more upside in it. I would say 78 to 80. I want to see how it reacts there. That's what I want to see. If you can take that out, then things get interesting. But I still think this wants to go into the upper 60s. I like that level a lot, but I want to see what it does here around 78 to 80, and I think it gets there next week. And then we'll kind of reserve judgment. Until then, XLE, nice pop, up 2%. So it's going to close right on the 200 moving average. We talked about this level yesterday. It was minor, but it still held anyway, right? So it doesn't guarantee that it's going to break, but it's getting a little bounce here. Now you could make a case you got another lower high. Until you take this pivot out, you could roll back over and break it. So I'm not touching it. I have no bias on another one way or the other. I would say a slight bear bias if I had to pick, but that's what I'm seeing there. XOP holding the 200 will give it the benefit of the doubt for now. I think if that consolidates there, it's going to 129, 130. And you guys know I like the OIH though, the best out of the bunch. But if this goes down, it's going down to 280, 290. But pattern-wise on the weekly and monthly, it is fine. For now, no problems. CCJ, 44.90 was the high of the day. We pulled back here. I told you about 45. It's pulling back. It's not giving us a sell signal. I have no sell signal on it. I just said 45 is the next level because that's really the only thing you can really go off of. Then you got a monthly big sell candle there. But CCJ, another thing that's getting chased into the end of the year. Lots of FOMO going on out there right now in everything. And this is definitely one of them. So they're piling into this. If you own it, trail your stop. If you don't own it, leave it alone. URNM, nice bid. If that gets above the highs, it's back to the double top around 52 and change. Nat gas continuing to pull back here. We talked about this level yesterday. It's getting a bounce there. I wouldn't even rule out a little bit more downside on this. Tends to not want to bottom on a Friday, but we'll see what it does early next week. But it is backing off and getting a little bit of a bid here as we get into the latter part of the afternoon. We already talked about the dollar. You guys know 103.50 is the level. If we get through that, 103 is still very good support. Gold here, actually red, even with the dollar getting hammered. You might say, why is that? One, it's options X day. It's going to be weird stuff going on. But two, the market is all in risk on right now. So people aren't in gold and gold miners as much, right? They're into tech. They're into the Russell 2000 right now. So that can explain a lot of that. But gold is holding up okay. If you get through 2000, you go back to 2025. You get through 2025, it's 2050. You break this pivot, it's back to 19. Silver, pulling back. So we talked about 24 would be res, and it is for now. If this flags, retraces, it can go to 25. And we'll leave it at that for now. If you get back below this trend line, then it gets a little bit more interesting. There's, you had a really nice thrust here. Didn't really build support, but we'll see what silver does. I'm kind of reserving judgment on that right now. Platinum, I do like. I'm just watching on pattern or a retrace. I do think that is a strong metal. Palladium, I think it's good for long-term accumulation, but we could have one more retrace as well. Copper showing me some strength here. Back above that trend line, it's a golf clap. I still think the weekly level is right here, 376. And you're closing right on the 220. So we'll see what we get next week. Again, reserving judgment there, but 376 on a weekly close definitely gives me the upside bias to 388 or so. Ultimately, you guys know I think it's going lower though. Bitcoin here, not a lot going on. Just stuck in this range again. I think they're just whipping this around before the ETF news. That monthly BB's rejected price twice. If it holds up into the end of the month, that could be a positive. And maybe it could go higher. But right now, I'm just going to go with that and say that it's stuck here until we get that ETF news. So nothing's really changed there, but crypto holding up just fine right now. Market's closing in 20 seconds. So spiders here, SPX, just above 43.10. A little bit of volatility. They didn't want to pay out those calls, right? So they're not going to let this break out and get unpinned before Opex. But you can see here, and Microsoft now bouncing a little bit with volume. But in any case, market's getting a little bit of a bid here into the close. There's the bell. Hopefully that wasn't too loud. In any case, going into next week, again, we're overbought. I could see a pay and trade up to 45.50 though, but if we get up there, I would expect that to be pretty good resistance. If we don't, this is your line in the sand. So 44.50, 44.60. You take that out, then the correction is started for the spiders. If you guys follow that, it's simple. 443.01 below that, and then below 444, spot 44 gets the correction started there and into the gap and possibly down into this level here. Anyways, guys, going to wrap up here. You guys take care. Have a great weekend. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com. I'll talk to you guys all next week.